time and jumping right into it. Welcome, everybody. It's so nice to meet you. Bringing your stories to life. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how storytelling can really help make your message more impactful. But first, I think it goes without saying that I should introduce myself. So my name is Casuto. I have been in Toastmasters since 2017. And within that time, I have taken on several leadership roles. I've been a club president, the vice president of public relations, secretary. I've even been an area director. Goes without saying, I'm used to talking to many different people. And with that, I've also participated in several of the contests. We have annual Toastmaster contests where you go from level to level, city to city, competing for the best speaker. And I am excited to say that I have won table topics one year, and I have won second place at the division level, which was about half of Spain, for the international public speaking contest. So I do have some experience with speaking, but that is talking about something that I really care about. I've also had moments where I was in a place that I didn't want to be. If you've ever had a job in sales, you know it can be very demanding. And I found out very quickly that I am not apt for sales. I like to talk to people, but I don't like to tell you what you need to buy. But back in the day, I was a salesperson, and I would do my best talking on the phone to different people. And by the end of the day, just every little call was another thorn in my side of, oof, I don't like having to do this. Oof, why is it so painful to tell someone that this is the best product for you? Oof. And throughout the day, minute by minute, those thorns would just be eating away at me. And at the end of the day, it just felt like I had this heavy burden on me with all these spikes tearing into me. Luckily, I lived close enough to my work where I would bicycle to and from work. And so by the end of the day, I would shake off those thorns, get on my bike, and start pedaling towards home. And at the beginning, I would pedal hard because I was so frustrated at my work. And then I would find this rhythm where I would just push, stroke after stroke, pedal, pedal, breathe, breathe. And I would feel my heart start to accelerate and then start to calm. And that was my way every day after having a job that I did not like, that I was able to decompress, collect myself, and get home a genial, smiling person again. What about you? I'm sure there are things in your life that you enjoy and things that bring you down. But after you have something that brings you down, do you also have a method to reset your mind, reset your breath, and be your genial self again? Today, I want to talk to you about storytelling. And to do that, let's dissect the story I just mentioned. So first and foremost, when you're looking to tell a story, you want to know what is your message. Your message is what you want to be able to transmit with your story, have your story support that, and in the end, if you can, rephrase your message so that your lesson that you're teaching is complementing what that story was. But first and foremost, if you don't have a clear message, you won't know what story to apply to it. So first, have clear what message you want to tell and what story can help you tell that. The second point I want to tell for storytelling is, oh, I'm so sorry. This happens when I put up two, for some reason, sometimes balloons show. I have no idea. But the second point here is your attitude. Your attitude is what the audience sees on your face and what they hear in your voice. So if I'm talking about something that excites me, I smile more. I have a more open position. And maybe my voice even goes a little bit higher to demonstrate my excitement for that. And then when I'm talking about those moments that are difficult, that tear me down, my face shows that. I show that it is something difficult for me. And maybe my stance even hardens a little bit. to demonstrate that, and my voice comes lower. I'm not saying by any means that you need to learn how to become a professional actor and demonstrate, a big theatrical ambiance. But what I'm saying is that whatever you're trying to talk about, think about how that emotionally actually makes you feel, and allow yourself to demonstrate that with your voice and with your face, because that emotion is also being transmitted to your audience. And so that's number 2. So first, we have our message. Second, we have our attitude. Third is silence. We want to communicate our message to our audience, but we also need to give our audience time to think, to process that message, and give them time to internalize it. So with that, I say the third point that I often see, especially with newer speakers, is that they don't give enough silence. They don't give enough of that time to let the audience really let that message sink in. So my third tip or advice is to not be afraid of silence, especially after you've mentioned something that you really want to hit home. Go ahead and be quiet for 2 to 3 seconds and let that message sink in. The fourth aspect that I want to talk about with storytelling is the conclusion. So you've created this message, you've developed the attitude that you want for it, and you've been utilizing your silences. You're getting towards the end of your story. What do? I think this is the perfect moment to pull in your audience one more time. With your conclusion, there's a couple different options you have here. First of all, you can reiterate what your lesson was. So your message should already be supporting the lesson you want to get to. And then at the end, rephrase it so that your audience is clear and can, think about how that story applies to your lesson and get them thinking. So one way is to rephrase your lesson of what you are trying to say with your message. Another type of conclusion you can do is called a call to action. That's where you invite your audience to do something. Maybe if you want them to start bicycling to work, that is one call to action you can do. Find a way that you can walk around when you get to work or after work, or get a bicycle and start implementing that in your routine. Or maybe you want to pose a question to the audience. That is another type of conclusion that I really like and was one that I used in my story. Posing a question to the audience is a way that, again, it engages them right towards the end after you've mentioned your lesson or before you mention your lesson. That's a way to engage them, hook them in, and get them thinking about how that story applies in their own lives. So again, going through the 4 tips of storytelling, we want to have a clear message. We want to let our attitude complement that. Don't be afraid of silences. And think of a conclusion that's going to pull your audience in one more time to really hit home that message. I remember talking about hitting home the message. I remember when everyone had to quarantine for COVID, and I couldn't go outside to bicycle. I couldn't even leave my apartment for any reason. And it was fine. But after a few weeks of that, I just noticed my arms and legs felt like lead. It felt like it took so much energy to pull myself out of bed, to get myself logged into the computer to start working. And I couldn't explain it, but I just did not feel like myself. And I wasn't exercising at that point. But I decided, I need to do something to change this. And so I would put on a 5-minute exercise video, not even long, just 5 minutes. And I would sit there and say, all right, we'll do jumping jacks. All right, we'll run in place. Really not giving it my all. But after about a minute, I would start to pick up the pace and say, okay, I can do this. And even though it was just 5 minutes, that little sense of accomplishment helped revive my spirit so that I wasn't so heavy laden again. So again, I ask you, what do you do to help liven your spirit when you have those moments that are just difficult and hard to proceed. Because if you don't have one already, I recommend exercise. Even if it's just 5 minutes, even if you're not giving it your all, that little bit of jump start might get you on the right path. And I hope that with this, you have learned something from my examples of storytelling that you can use in your own stories. Thank you.
Autumn, that was really beautiful speech. I like to say thank you. And you give me, like, I'm an Autumn boy actually, and I have a lots of stories about my life. And you know, it reminds me a lot of when I born in this autumn, and everything is really beautiful. My stories about everything is beautiful. I like to say thank you to you. That was
And
a
thank
real.
you for having me here.
So, all right. I like to give two or three questions for you. If the questions are ready, if you just type the questions. Do you have any questions, guys? Mata?
Dear Tom, wonderful training. Thank you so much. Do you have any special technique to write daily diary, or how do you write your story notebook? Do you have any point of view to share with our new members? Thank you, Tom.
Honestly, thank you so much. I think that's a great question. And that you mentioned one right there, actually, by keeping a daily journal, that can be a way that you can find stories in your life that you otherwise might not have recognized. One technique I do is that I first think about what message I want to say, and then think about what story, no matter how small it might be, that can apply to that. So, for example, if I want to talk about, you know, feeling uplifting, finding a way to uplift yourself in a low spot, even something as simple as bicycling to work, I remembered, oh yes, that was a way that I could kind of kickstart myself. And by thinking of that one, it made me think of the other example of being in quarantine and how exercise again helped me in that way. So I kind of work at it from first looking at what message I want to say, and then looking at what story might complement that, no matter how big or small it might seem.
All right. Shakil Rashid, I think you raise your hand. Do you have any questions to Autumn?
Such a wonderful session, respected Sister Melton. My question is that I tend to have storytelling techniques in table topics whenever possible. Actually, how to conclude your story at the end, because it's the most important thing for me. And maybe the catch in table topics as well. I will be looking forward to your valuable answer.
I think it does take practice, which is good that you're participating in table topics to practice. But if you have a prompt, like let's say, tell me about your favorite summer. Well, as you're talking about your favorite summer, you can think about what lesson could I possibly teach or get from this? And then from that, choose one of those three ideas that I mentioned. So even though you're talking about your favorite summer, maybe it was, you want to say, and the lesson on that is, you know, the family is important, and that's why it was the best summer ever, because I was with my family. Or maybe you can do a call to action of saying, well, this was my favorite summer, but it was only that way because I made it that way. So go out and live your best summer that you can. Or if you want to pose it as a question to someone, you can talk about your favorite summer, then conclude it with saying, but that was mine. What about you? What made your summer the best in your life? So again, by applying those techniques, you can take a simple Toastmaster prompt and kind of adapt it to make it more impactful by using one of those closings. Does that help?
Yeah. Thanks a lot for your valued answer. Definitely going to use it.
All right. So I think, is there anyone to ask questions if you had it in your mind?
I think I see one more hand raised.
Oh, Saurabh, do you want to?
I raised my hand for timer pinging.
Ah, okay. All right. Autumn, I don't have a question, but I like to say thank you for everything, for explaining this beautiful your beautiful topic. That was I'm really get, I just think about the topic, and you're thinking about the storytelling. That was really beautiful. And I imagine everything about in my mind, in my story life. Now I see about everything about a beautiful mind. Even summer, spring, fall, winter. I imagine all of them the beautiful mind. Thanks for your telling us the topic.
Autumn, can we take a picture to remember this lovely day?
Sure.
Dear, please smile your lovely smile. Just a second. Yeah, please smile. If you want picture, you can close your camera. Thank you so much. Just a second. Okay. Smile, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
We thank you to you, Autumn. All right. So guys, our next stop is Ashraf Farooq. He's going